Good afternoon, everyone. Question: where's our food going to come from? China's farmers fear food shortages. They're locked down. They can't plant. They can't even find fertilizer in China, let alone export to the U.S. Look at all the constituents we need. Plantations closing across the planet. Malaysia, palm oil this time. EU seeing the same thing. Decreased planting. Dismal headlines from India to the U.S. everywhere you look. And it was already last year, 2019, that these countries in red were struggling with production anyway. And now we have all these other circumstances. No wonder. Limit one for what you can buy. Grand Solar Minimum intensifying. Strange signs. Antarctica just set the coldest March temperature record ever. And as we get into 2023 and 24, Earth magnetic sandwich, far side of the sun, near side of the sun. More lost crops and global liquefaction. Planet needs to be controlled right now. And as much web browsing as I do, I need a way to protect my sources and sites that I visit. You can head over to virtualshield.com, and in the download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox. And click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green, and you'll see how from my initial service provider I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. And during the month of March, Virtual Shield is offering a special 30% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons. The link's in the description box below. And with no plant 19 behind us last year, dismal harvest. With crops still stranded in the field from last year, here we go. 2020 will be a doozy. China's farmers fear food shortages after restrictions. They're not allowed to go out of their buildings to till the fields and get the crops ready or even plant. Really far behind in southern part of China right now. Transportation lockdown there. Also diminishing ability for China itself to get fertilizers and pesticides. China Economic Review here, daunting planting season. And 60% of respondents are pessimistic or very pessimistic about this year's planting season. I would say it would be equivalent in the U.S. and Europe both. They're talking about food shortages in China and a full collapse of the agriculture and fertilizer industry in that country. And the U.S. is so reliant on China's imports for these agricultural necessities. Take a look here. These are in millions of metric tons. And think about this. This is just Q1 of 2019. We're nowhere close to remotely even 1/5 of 1/8 of a percent of getting these same levels into the States. We already missed Q1. We're into Q2. Saw the docks ports in China closing. Nothing at Long Beach right now. Very small amount of cargo coming through. But if we're not getting urea or NPK, our yields are going to be dismal in the States. And taking a look at China exports of fertilizers by country, heading over to the EU, #1 position, US second. And you can see down Japan, Vietnam, Germany, and India of all places. This is just NPK outputs here, China exports. Again, millions of metric tons. That's going to be under 200,000 for sure. And when we look back at the statistics for Q1 and Q2, they're going to have to reassess this chart here and put a new 50 million ton band in there, dropping so low. I don't know where we're going to get the fertilizer. And with everything going on this week across the agriculture industry, plantations were forced to shut operations. This is all across Southeast Asia. Anything palm oil, fruits, vegetables, everything's forced to shut. So that put a quick palm oil spike, 5% just off Malaysian production. What about Indonesia, Myanmar, Thailand? But you'll see it's a copy-paste everywhere you go. Now it's agriculture, not just restaurants. And look at these dismal headlines here. Delayed grain deliveries in Paraguay. China already struggling food shortages, and now they're delayed on the vegetable oil imports. Paying premiums to get more meat. India imports locked down. Force majeure. China April soybean crush to plunge. Low imports obvious. Soybeans soaring. Shortages again. Currency collapse. Brazil soybeans finally more competitive. And we just saw the Malaysian palm oil. Now moving over to the U.S. ethanol producers, they're warning of a total collapse without government help as well. And then China scrambling again on a buying spree. Emperor's gone there. Mandate from heaven removed. Can't feed your people. Time for a new leader. Russian wheat exports stall on Egyptian cuts. Well, that's not so true. It's Egyptian port closures. Oops, can't get the food into Egypt either. Argentina, their agriculture going into another lockdown. Ports remain open, so they say. For how long, though? And then over to the EU. This is off the U.S. Wheat Associates. Weekly wrap-up. German Association of Farm Cooperatives. Decreased planting area. I wonder why. Do you see a theme starting to move through the planet now? The Grain Trade Association also lowered EU durum wheat output 8% from last year. Guess why? And that's why we're seeing suddenly all these signs, limit of 1, limit of 2. So you have to ask yourself, is this new thing passing around the planet, is that a cover for the Grand Solar Minimum crop losses that governments are unwilling to talk about or take responsibility for? Because you're going to have to grow your own food. And just a quick nutrient deficiency color schematic here for your plants. If you're going to grow your own in your backyard, obviously you're going to be looking for why they're turning yellow with too much moisture, insects, or whatever that we all experience when we grow our food. And each type of nutrient deficiency, you'll see which minerals you're going to need to add in there: magnesium, calcium, iron, zinc, whatever it might be. Because back in 2019, when I created this map, everywhere on red was already having decline production in the country, struggling, crop losses, and it was just a matter of time before the world could not grow enough to feed the present population. It seems we're here right now, years early in this Grand Solar Minimum intensification. Now, this 400-year cycle in the sun has effects on our cloud bands, the cloud cells, the jet streams, the intertropical convergent zone. Everything is shifting, so obviously when we plant and when we harvest, it would shift as well, with temperatures and moisture shifting to different parts of the world. And then suddenly, Antarctica just set the coldest March temperature ever recorded. 103.5 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. And it's just barely cracking into the end of summer going into fall. And Temp Global putting out here the location, Vostok Station. So wondering where that is, right there on the map. Hey, I thought Central was melting. Wait a second. This early in the season, this cold? That's anomalous. And for the grand finale, 2023 and 24, oh my, you've seen nothing yet in the change of our weather systems and loss of crops. Magnetic sandwich for the Earth, along with the Grand Solar Minimum. Ouch, it's going to be a double whammy. Earth right in front of you. We're looking out into the quadrant of the solar system with the 4 gas giants lined up. Decreased solar activity, increasing electromagnetic interaction with these gas giants in a square. And then as we progress 6 months, we are in the sandwich, right in the middle. An enormous amount of events are going to transpire before this time. And when we reach this ultimate point here for the first wave going into what I would consider the heaviest food crop losses, 2028 to 2032, somewhere in that range, this will be a society reset in itself. It makes sense why things are happening now to control the situation as we march forward, because what happens with this planting season is going to give us even less supply for the planet's hungry bellies. I've discussed this in the book I wrote, Climate Revolution, from start to finish, when the planet was going to get locked down economically, as well as reasons that would be given to do such a thing as we progress forward with crop losses. And we're seeing the same exact events that we see every 400 years. If you're wondering why everything is happening on the planet at the moment, this explains it. First half of the book is what this Grand Solar Minimum is, what it's done to societies in the past, what you can expect it to do right now starting again. And I was saying everything that's happening right now would occur about 1 year before we got into the true crop losses that would create social instability in the cities, so it would need to be preemptively taken care of so power structures could remain intact. The last half of the book is what you can do to get ready for these changes, I wish you the best of luck. Climate Revolution. The link's in the description box below. And I'm David Dubine, the author, along with Bill Porter, as well as the creator of the Adapt 2030 channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next video.